Thank you. And again, it's so good to see both of you. The voice of Wyoming has been ignored on this topic, so I am deeply grateful for the chance to echo their sentiment of concern and outrage over this proposed rule. According to public comments submitted by the United States Business Administration Office of Advocacy, this proposed rule has unintended consequences that are contrary to the statutory provisions of FLPMA, lacks factual basis, and does not adequately consider the economic impacts of the rule on small businesses. That's how bad this proposed rule is. The SBA, under the Biden administration, is literally calling out the BLM on how bad the proposal is. Mr. Chairman, I would like to submit the SBA's public comments on this for the record.
Without objection, so it's
American economies can only get a return on our federal lands in much of the West through two things. The first is grazing, and the second is through mineral extraction or logging. The very lifestyle of rural communities is at risk when burdensome regulations like this cripple the businesses that allow these communities to flourish. The revenue provided to the state through mining and agriculture is essential to our lives and our economy. This revenue funds our schools, healthcare, public safety, and other essential services. Wyoming is a strong leader in energy production, agriculture, and outdoor recreation, as Governor Gordon outlined in his testimony. Basically, everything this proposed rule touches is what we in Wyoming are good at. So quite frankly, it's hard not to take this personally. To make matters worse, the BLM won't even come to Wyoming to talk about the proposed rule. Governor Gordon, considering that Wyoming's economy lives and dies on the industries impacted by this rule, why do you think it is that BLM would hold town halls in New Mexico and Colorado, but not Wyoming? Are they avoiding something?
Mr. Chairman, Congresswoman Hageman, it is clear they're avoiding having real testimony on the ground with practitioners of conservation. They're looking for communities where they can find a favorable audience so they can move things forward. The testimony of the gentleman from California, I take great umbrage at, because
We typically do as well.
As Governor Noem and I have worked with folks across the aisle, this is about conservation and good development, good management, and stewardship of our natural resources. It is not a hyper-partisan issue. Just last year, I signed an agreement with Secretary Vilsack, which recognized that private property has a role in wildlife, healthy wildlife populations. So I take real offense at suggesting that this is somehow conspiracy. This is about keeping people on the land. This is about stewardship. And to suggest that people that are in the oil and gas business or miners somehow don't care about conservation is just wrong-headed.
It's been proven over and over and over and over again. Yet our colleagues on the other side just simply can't get through their head because they like the talking points, as we just saw. A few weeks ago, the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigation had Ms. Garcia Richard from New Mexico attend as the minority witness. And in her written testimony, she said that a state's, quote, ability to generate money for education is directly tied to the health and the productivity of state lands. What I don't understand is what revenue you would generate for your state through a federal conservation lease. Governor, will conservation leases generate any funds to local education or to the state in general?
Mr. Chairman, Madam Congressman, no. That money would go to the federal government. And, you know, it's sort of a joke to think that we're going to make it more productive by taking it out of play. We, as you know, and Governor Lujan Grisham and I have both addressed Congress on this fact, our schools are funded by education. Our education is funded by mineral development. The leases and all the ancillary pieces of the economy are funded by activities on federal lands. Taking those out of play would be devastating to our economy.
One of the things that so many people don't understand is that our water development and the way that we manage our resources in the West, even on federal lands, is typically done by private individuals. to better the situation for their livestock production, but that also benefits our wildlife. You take cattle off of our federal lands in the West, you're also going to have a substantially negative impact on wildlife because we're not going to be developing the resources that they need to survive. This is going to have incredibly negative, unintended consequences that the people in Washington, D.C. don't understand, and they should not be making policies like this sitting in their air-conditioned office here. With that, I yield back.